Welcome to the Peace and Chaos program. Get ready for your hosts, DJ Aceman and Big Don.
How's it going, everyone? DJ Aceman alongside the legendary Life of Big Don here today for the Peace and Chaos program. Big Don, what's going on?
We are back. What's up, everybody? It's your boys at the Peace and Chaos program. We got a good show for you tonight, especially with some recent news that is going on. But obviously, the big headline here is the recent stuff that's been going on in Haiti. But I will leave DJ Aceman here to give us the rundown of what to expect tonight.
Yes, we have a lot of news stories to cover tonight. Everything going on internationally, from the Haitian president being assassinated. We're going to give you all the facts, and then we're going to have a little chat about that. We're then going to talk about the U.S. troops withdrawal. So August 31st will be that. We're going to talk a little bit about that, the implications in terms of foreign policy, and then we're also going to talk about some domestic news. Now we're going to talk about what President Trump did this week with suing Facebook. We're also going to talk about President Biden, his governance on COVID, the COVID vaccine, and how it's leading to a big debate between anti-vaxxers and vaxxers. So that's all that's going to be coming up tonight. Just a reminder, as always, you can always go follow us on social media right here on Twitter, Peace and Chaos P1. That is Peace and Chaos P1. And you can also go follow us on Instagram as well, Peace and Chaos _podcast. That is Peace and Chaos _podcast. We have a lot to talk about tonight, so let's get right into it.
Yes, we shall. All right. We got to start with the big story here. We're going to go big, go home, people.
Yes, let's talk a little bit about it. So this week on Wednesday morning, the news broke down in Haiti that the current president, Moïse, was assassinated. A lot of details were coming out that there was a big group of mercenaries, assassins who pretty much had this type of military kind of training. They knew that they had some military type backgrounds because of what they were doing. And it was believed that later on in the week, there were 28 people in total, 28 suspects. As of right now, I believe 8 are still on the loose as of yesterday. And 26 out of the 28 suspects are from Colombia, and 2 are Haitian Americans. Now, the Haitian Americans involved here were believed to be translators. So they claim that, in their defense, they claim that they were only there to do translating between the president's aides and the killers. And all the killers there, though, they claimed were the Colombians. So there's been a lot going on. It was believed that 13 of the suspects of Colombian origin were former soldiers in the Colombian military. This was confirmed later this week. And the rest of them are believed to be mercenaries. And they all were believed to be, bought up by some powerful person that people need to get to the bottom of. So there's an investigation going on in terms of that. But the way that these Colombian militants, assassins, got into Haiti in the first place was through either from Panama. They said that they either flew from Panama or they went to the Dominican Republic, which is on the same island as Hispaniola, which is the island of Hispaniola, and they share a border. The DR shares a border with Haiti, so they just crossed over after that. So there are a lot of questions going on. Right now, the United States has sent FBI and DHS personnel down to help with the investigation, but a lot of questions are now being asked. The first lady of Haiti was taken to a hospital in Miami. She apparently is in critical condition, and she did put out a statement earlier this afternoon saying that she denounces all her, late husband's rivals, if you will, and her child, I believe, the president's child, I believe, was safe. She was able to escape. But as of right now, there's a lot of questions being asked about how this even occurred in the first place. And there's also questions being asked of where was the security? So, and also on another note too, there's also a lot of consideration of who's going to become the next president, because according to the Haitian constitution, it's supposed to be the head of the uh, Supreme Court. That's who it is. But they died recently, I believe, of COVID. And then
Oh,
what happened was the prime minister, I believe, is supposed to after that. And the current prime minister, well, he's an interim. Joseph, well, he was going to leave, and he believes he should be. But then there's another interim who was just sworn in days before the assassination of Moise. So there's a whole lot of questions. But just going back to it too, the reason why a lot of people believe Moise was assassinated was because of the growing opposition. There was a lot of political instability in Haiti over the past 2 years. Inflation, the lack of a COVID vaccine, also his autocratic practices of ruling. So he kind of undermined the law. He changed the constitution. He didn't want to leave. This kind of led to a lot of uproar among the people. So there also was that, since President Moise was not the most popular president. But Big Don, I want to turn it over to you. We I kind of want to have a little discussion here, but I just want to hear your initial thoughts of this because I just briefed everyone a little bit.
when you have news like this, I mean, of an assassination attempt, it's gonna make some headwaves, especially when it comes to a world leader.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be interesting and it's interesting to see how the U.S. response to it sort of played out because it did get a lot of attention, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of Americans kind of neglect Haiti in a way.
Mm.
Like I think I was reading something along the lines of like Joe Biden saying that like Haiti was just an island in the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a lot more questions more than answers in terms of like the motivations of the assassination. It's probably gonna be political reasons. We'll see what happens with the Americans they captured in terms of their role that's being played with it. And obviously, you're gonna have maybe some domestic response from us, and because those are our citizens. It's like, what are you doing over there, assassinating some Haitian leader?
Mm-hmm. I think Colombia also, I was reading an article, I believe I actually have it pulled up. And like Colombia is also wanting to investigate this as well into reasons why the militants were there. And I read that there was actually one militant who actually was being investigated by the Colombian National Court because of some like a pretty bad past. Apparently, he was one of the soldiers who was known as a false positive, meaning that he was one of the soldiers that was actually accused of killing civilians, and they believe that he saw this as a great reason to leave, maybe utilize his past skills in the military to do something of such a global scale, and get into international crime and leave Colombia. And I think a lot of those Colombian soldiers maybe saw this as a great opportunity to make a little money and utilize their skills. But you make a good point about the US's role in this. And you said that President Biden kind of undermines Haiti. But I think that
Yeah,
there's
back
a
in like
lot.
the '90s, it's like one of those. It's like one of those postings you'll see on like some like conservative postings where it's just like, oh, look what Biden said in the '90s about the crime bill. Look at what he said about the Haitian people.
I think there is like a lot of. I think Haiti is kind of I would put it like this way. I think that Haiti in a way is kind of looked down upon. I think
It
because of
is.
I mean it is because I mean it's I think it's the poorest. It is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. I believe it is one of the ones if you're not counting West Africa, but I believe in the Americas it's the poorest country. Um, and you saw it just with right now going on in Haiti, but also just their democracy deficit. So the lack of an effective government is one reason why it is looked down upon.
Right,
Also,
because
I think
Haiti had
it's
to deal with a lot of stuff.
yeah, a lot of well, right now they're malpracticing with COVID. No one is vaccinated there. A lot of people, I think a majority live in poverty. And also there's just a huge wealth gap there with, the slim percentage of people being in the higher ups. And, there's a big, you know, inequality there, and that's affecting the people as well. And yeah, people do look down upon Haiti. And I think for the US standpoint, they kind of just don't really care too much because they don't really see any I mean, when you look at there are countries in the world where America says, "Oh, we don't really have interests," and Haiti is, I would say, is one of the bigger ones in terms of really no interest at all. Um, Pretty much, it's the only reason why the U.S. is a little interested in this case is because of how close it is, and also how there are ties between the U.S. and Haiti in terms of um, immigration and other reasons. But other than that, if Haiti was somewhere else in the world, the U.S. would not care.
No, like if this was in like South Africa, or well, maybe I don't know. You seen apartheid going on over there. That was a huge issue. But what was like in like some other country that wasn't like far away from us? It's like yeah, it's like what are you gonna do? And
Yeah, if it was in
Haiti,
like like the Rwanda one was a big one. Remember that one?
yeah, I do.
And like how the US did not see any reason to go. And you know, I mean that was totally different circumstances, but it was a country also at the brink of collapse due to political instability. In this case, there was political instability in Haiti as well. I mean, it's been going on for quite a while, so they have been kind of dealing with it for quite a while, but and act like actions like this, really kind of turn the whole international community's head and make them realize, oh my gosh, there were a lot of incidents here. And I think it also goes down to American imperialism too, that whole
Yeah,
debate with how should the US really be interfering in countries that, are not as well off. And I think a lot of scholars look at it and say, well, you know what, the US really should not be here. I think it would be better off for the US to not be in a country like Haiti, to not influence the realm of politics and, to take a step back and focus on governing itself. And that's also one as well, where maybe if the US got involved sooner, maybe this wouldn't have occurred. Maybe there would have been, an organized election committee in Haiti. There wouldn't have been all these constitutional changes by the late President Moise. And maybe this would have led to, more effective governance.
yeah, for sure. I mean, and it's interesting too because if you look at Haiti geographically,
Mhm.
we had, or at least we have tended to have a lot of influence within that area, whether it's like Puerto Rico being recognized as U.S. territory, or the amount of tourism that we have in Jamaica and the Dominican Republic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can look right here.
And obviously, you got Cuba right over there, which
Yep.
is we don't even need to get into the history of that.
Hmm. Oh yeah, and also Nicaragua. You had the whole U.S. Contras issue back in the '80s. You also had the U.S. interfering in Colombia as well, Cuba, Puerto Rico. So the U.S. has had a sphere of influence on Central America and the Caribbean for quite a while, and it's because of how close it is. And this is like geopolitics 101. You see how close the United States is. And I mean, this was also what the Monroe Doctrine of the US trying to really be in a position where they can kind of control what goes on in their backyard. I mean, you saw it back in the day with, Monroe and that doctrine and saying that they were very concerned first of the Soviet Union's influence in Cuba and also with the Contras in Nicaragua and in a lot of other Central and South American countries, my bad. But you see it here with Haiti too, how the U.S. does see that it is important geographically because what if something happens to Haiti, then the DR has to deal with maybe a migrant situation.
And stuff has been happening to Haiti. I
Hmm.
mean, they're in the constant path of hurricanes. They had a really bad earthquake that they're still recovering from 2010.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a very unfortunate situation for Haiti. I mean, I gotta say, they're probably one of the least fortunate countries, I would say. Um, and they've also been impacted by colonization in the past. Um, they actually were the second country in the Western Hemisphere to become independent. The U.S. was the first. Haiti, believe it or not, was the second.
Yeah,
They had a slave rebellion, which was really interesting, but they've always kind of dealt with a lot of instability, and that's why that country has never really had prosperity. And I think the U.S. sees that too, and saying, it's kind of had a bad history, and I think they need to keep an eye out for it. Keep an eye out for the country. Now, I just wanted to ask you a question. Do you think that the U.S. is doing a good job sending in the DHS and the FBI to investigate, or do you think that the U.S. should just stay out of this?
Well, first off, they had people from within their country that was part of the assassination of the leader. So,
Mhm.
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory of why they're involved, and I think rightfully so. I mean, they're gonna be prosecuted for because this is illegal, and I'm assuming it's illegal. I mean, I'm not a law expert, but I'm assuming it's illegal for a U.S. citizen to go to Haiti smuggling guns and then kill their presidential
I believe they
leader
were
of their
dual
country.
citizens, though. So,
Well, they were dual citizens.
yeah, they were both Haitian Americans.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I
Yeah, I
mean,
think the dual citizenry, I don't know if they were born in the United States. The guy's name was Solanges and James Solanges and Joseph Vincent, both naturalized citizens from Haiti. So I believe that they were naturalized um, Americans. Yeah, they were two Haitian Americans, and I believe that both of them did work in security. I believe it said on their LinkedIn. I think they were working at security at like a former Haitian embassy, and I think they also were like in Canada for a while too. I was reading, but they have like a security background, and I think the reason why they were recruited for this mission was because of their ties to the country, and I think that the Colombian mercenaries who they were going to work with, they couldn't speak Haitian Creole or French, so they needed um, like two Haitian, citizens, if you will, to help them out. But what do you think? How do you think how do you think it's gonna end? Do you think that Haiti's gonna, somehow be miraculously stable after a while, or do you think that we're now
no,
going to see? Because now there's different political rivals had it happening. Now the minister of elections is really pressured to hold an election, and the election, weirdly enough, was supposed to happen this year, and Moise wanted to happen next year, and there were fears that he was going to just keep holding on to power. But now with all this mess, do you think that it's a good idea maybe to hold an election within the next 6 months?
no, because
Really?
there's still it takes a lot of time to recover from the political turmoil that comes with an assassination. I
Hmm.
mean, we did it with Reagan, no, not Reagan, Kennedy.
Yeah,
That's a different. Well, Reagan did almost get assassinated,
yeah, he almost got assassinated.
but I don't know. I think it depends on like Haiti's political climates. I mean, it seems that the president did not have a they had approval rating, and there's probably some divisiveness that goes along within Haitian lines. I'm not obviously not an expert on Haiti's political climates, but knowing how everything is in the world right now, I think you're going to see some stuff being going down, but only time will tell.
Hmm. I think you're. I think that's a good point there. I think it's unknown at this moment, but I mean, there's all this. There's a whole debate going on in terms of. I mean, there's multiple different problems they have to solve. They have to solve. They have to investigate this, get to the bottom of why this happened. They have to find out who was behind this, besides all the all the suspects who were killed or arrested. They have to know who was at the bottom. Was it someone within the Haitian realm of politics, or was it someone who was an international figure? That's what they're going to have to find out. I think that also they have to also figure out who's going to be the president, because the interim prime minister, who supposedly is supposed to step down, um, he's supposed to. I mean, there's a whole issue between him and the other interim president, prime minister, who's just appointed like 3 days before the assassination. They need to clear that up. They also need to clear up their constitution, especially with how all this is going down, because this was just an unfortunate matter of events prior to the assassination, with the death of the Supreme Court leader, and also the whole issue with the prime minister being appointed and the other prime minister still holding office. So they need to get to the bottom of that. And also, I think they need to have an election within the next 6 months, in my opinion, because I think there's also going to be a political issue going on top of this investigation. I mean, after I mean, in the US's eyes, after the assassination of JFK, the country was pretty much together. It was kind of a moment where the US kind of came together. And I mean, you see it in times of uncertainty and times of um, threats and other, events. And I think I mean, you saw it in the US with 9/11 as well. Just times of, you know, just sad events that occurred. And with Haiti, this is a time of mourning. And I think that the country could come together, but it really is going to be about if there is going to be some unity, it has to start now. And with Haiti's political past, even within the past years, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think that's going to happen either. I mean, I think the JFK example has a lot more different context than what happened here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to be a big issue moving forward for the country of Haiti. And yes, we will follow this story and give you more updates once it occurs. Do you want to move on, Big Don?
Let's move on.
Okay. Let's go to the Trump story with Facebook. So let's actually go see the poll real quick because we did do a poll this week. Let's see right here. Should tech companies be allowed to censor? So we got about 7 responses this week, and a majority of you said yes, while a slim minority said no.
Hey, look at all those tags I put.
I know, right? Wow.
Pete?
Yeah, that's how we get a lot of our guys. Everyone comes through from the tags. I think that's a good idea. We got to keep doing that.
And it's
But
odd
yes.
because I think I put a lot of conservative tags in there, but I digress. Apparently,
Yeah.
people think.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And this
So
is
yeah,
contradictory. I mean, geez.
though, like getting all these different tags that pertain to either political kind of affiliation, it gets a good turnout though, because if we just put all primarily conservative kind of tags, we're gonna have a more
We're gonna have the bias turnout. That's
we're gonna have a
that's how
biased
research is
turnout.
done, people.
Yeah, and research is done by you got to get an accurate sample, one that's inclusive and representative of the entire population. So all you pollsters out there, you can't just be going to red counties or blue counties. You have
You
to
also
go
can't
to.
be going on Twitter as well.
Oh yeah, you
Do your
can't be
polls.
going on Twitter.
We don't condone using Twitter to make up like your thesis or something.
Oh yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Because you might be getting people with three, who don't really care. They might just click on it just for S's and G's. But yeah, but yeah, what do you think of this? Of these results, Big Don?
Honestly, I was kind of surprised by them because I think the rhetoric around tech companies is just like, look, they're censoring all these voices. I mean, look at these people. I think recently Nick Fuentes got booted off Twitter.
He did, yes. He did, yeah.
Yeah, there was much uproar with that.
Yeah, there was Ben Shapiro. If I can try to find the post.
Ben Shapiro commented on Nick Fuentes?
Yeah, he did. Let me try to pull it up. It's actually a good tweet. Because I mean it's an interesting
there's a lot of context to this because Nick Fuentes actually he was at I think it was Politicon, and he went to Ben Shapiro and then they just harassed him in public.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro actually had something to say on this. Let me try to pull it up. It was from like a couple of days ago, I believe. Yeah, let me go see when it was. But yeah, going back to that, yeah, you can they have had like a little bit of a history of beefing with one another. This was trending like 2 days ago, I think.
Let's see if you can pull up the tweet.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now. There's a lot. He retweets so many Babylon bees.
It's not even funny. It's like I think his sister does as well. If y'all people ever want to check out Abby Shapiro.
Yeah, he retweeted her, and then he retweets a lot of Sports Center. Let me see. He retweets so many things. Yeah, let me search it up. Fuentes. Do you know if we use Fuentes was trending on the 8th?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was.
Let's see here.
Ben Shapiro was talking about Haiti.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I think. Well, I found the tweet.
Oh, you did?
Let's see here. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I gotta go look at it right here. Yeah.
Okay, I could read it out loud. Nick Fuentes is a garbage person with garbage beliefs. Twitter also filled with a lot of garbage people with garbage beliefs. Only certain people get banned. Nobody should trust Twitter's supposed free speech neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like he's supporting it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's weird because I think that he believes it in a certain degree that he should get banned, but at the same time, I think Ben is also kind of watching his back too because I don't think he's supportive.
Oh, wait, I read that wrong. Jeez. Only
Yeah.
certain people get banned. No.
Yeah, only certain people, meaning pretty much conservative people or people who kind of hold, because there have been some people that were getting censored prior to, the big crackdown earlier this year. I mean, you saw it like 2018, 2019 when really alt-right people who were partaking in the Charlottesville kind of marches, those kind of folks were pretty much getting banned from every single social media site except for whatever that other one is called. It's not Twitter. It's the one where all like the crazy people go to.
Oh, BitChute.
BitChute, yeah. They were also getting banned from them as well. But yeah, Twitter was like the first ones to kick out that crowd before kind of kicking out the more mainstream conservatives like Trump.
We still need to set up a Ghetto account, but we digress on this.
Well, I think it got hacked the other day.
Yeah, I'm not trusting it now.
I don't really trust it because I think with
Trump,
Twitter,
make a good social media app for.
well,
please.
Stephen Miller created it. It
Please.
wasn't even Trump. Yeah, it'll probably. Yeah, I don't think it's that good, anyways. I think it's there's a lot of security concerns, and plus, you're probably going to have a lot of people who are going to want to take it down, or at least hack it, and then probably interfere with it. So, yeah, I think they need to worry about cyber threats and boost their security on that app, because if not, yeah, they're going to have a big issue. All right, let's
go
to
back
this.
to Trump here because he is now going to sue.
Mm-hmm. But here's the deal with this. So he's suing basically because of First Amendment. He believes that he's being censored, and he believes that it's against his rights, his First Amendment. Now, with private corporations and private businesses, they have the right to handle their own they have the right to do whatever they want with their actions.
They can implement their own TOS, people.
Mm-hmm. They can implement their own TOS, and it has nothing to do with the First Amendment because they are a private corporation. They can do it, and Trump is using their services. This is not like he's going out in public and basically getting arrested for saying something. No, he's using a service called Twitter, Facebook, and Google, those three different platforms, and he's trying to get his word across. So he's basically a client for these three respective platforms. And because of that, they can ban him. But there has been a whole debate regarding this. A lot of conservatives we see now with Ted Cruz and others have been trying to, they've been having hearings with big tech. You saw last year and the year before, you saw Mark Zuckerberg testifying about this. And there has not been any legislation passed as of yet on this, but I think it is it's a gray area because even though Twitter, Facebook, and Google are, private entities, they kind of do deal with people expressing their opinions and beliefs, which go under the First Amendment. But what do you think of that, Big Don? Do you think that there's a big gray area, or do you see it differently?
Well, first I got to ask, what the hell is Trump's argument? Did they
I
give
think
an official?
He believes that he's getting censored. he thinks that it's against his like First Amendment.
Oh, let's see here. We're not looking at this. Okay. Three lawyers filed in federal alleged tech companies violate. The suit wants or media companies to let Trump
Section
of
it's
the
like right here. They also want the court to declare the section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, a piece of legislation that stops tech companies from being held liable for what users post on their platforms, is unconstitutional. He rallied against Section 230 and repeatedly called for its repeal. So it's also about what a user can say and if they are going to be held accountable on that, and how companies really should not be held liable for what their users post. So that's kind of his argument as well. But I mean, I think he lost that already. And I mean, all the lawyers that I saw on the news this week were undermining this, saying that this is illegitimate. It's going to go nowhere. It's kind of just political court in this opinion. This is just Trump trying to stay relevant in a way, and his whole little war on big tech. But do you think there's something bigger going on?
I mean, maybe he's trying to hype up his maybe he's trying to hype up Getter. I don't know. But I think you're right on this one. This is obviously a battle that Trump is probably going to lose legally because, well, I think we just we kind of explained it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a law degree to know that private companies can implement their own terms of service.
Yep. I mean, remember that whole case too that went to the Supreme Court a couple years ago with the gay couple who wanted to buy a cake at I believe it was like a very Christian bakery.
Yep.
And the Christian bakery won because the gay couple, they can deny service basically because they don't, it goes against their beliefs. And the gay couple didn't like it, but at the end of the day, that bakery was allowed to do and stop the gay couple from, buying a cake, and it shows that private businesses here in the US, they have a lot of leverage into if they want to do something or they don't want to do something. And as hard as it is for Trump and his allies, that's just the name of the game. That's just the name of the game.
It is. The Republicans only like it when it's working to their benefits.
Mm-hmm. But it does bring up a whole big question if you think that big tech is becoming getting more involved with censorship, because a lot of people have been becoming a little bit skeptic of what to say now if big tech is going to become more powerful in the future. Do you think that could happen?
I mean, here's the thing. The ultimate goal of these companies is to make some money. And how they do that is by having their image sort of as protective as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they could take, I guess, the moral high road and say, okay, we're going to allow free speech on here. But the thing is, with like how heated the political climate is, it's just like, I think from a business standpoint, it just kind of doesn't really make sense if all this politics is going on within your platform, because you're just shoving it down to people's throats. And then obviously we're seeing a conservative bias, but I think conservatives have gone a little bit off the deep end, but you could also say liberals as well. But I think Twitter is also banning some liberals as well in terms of what they're saying.
Yeah, they're banning some kind of left wing quote unquote extremists who they have been deplatforming some liberals as well. So I think they're deplatforming conservatives. You saw that with people who were undermining the election, undermining COVID, but you're also having some liberals as well, maybe criticizing big tech or having some maybe unpopular opinion. And they're like anarchists as well are getting banned. So there's a lot of different people who, quote unquote are extremists, and they are getting deplatformed here as well. But I think there is going to be a lot of fears in the future. And I think that we're also going to see a lot of action by citizens groups and also probably more activism and awareness of the power of the big tech monopolies today. And I think that in the future, if this does kind of accelerate, I think people are going to try to, like you saw with Trump last week, they're going to try to create their own social media like platforms that are going to be more like open to all.
Yeah, and there's always been talk of this. Like
Mhm.
I remember back then, like Michael Knowles was saying, like, "Oh, conservatives need a dating app," and then obviously you have people like Ben Shapiro advocating, like, "Okay, well, there's not really a place for conservatives to speak." Then you had Parler.
Oh, yep.
Parler turned out to be an absolute crap show. Now you have Getter, which is now getting, as we said, we refuse to make an account on it because it just keeps getting hacked.
Yep.
You see how these people are hacking it? Apparently, some guy hacked like who is it? Scott Miller, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene and Mike Pompeo's account, and it was like Free Palestine.
Oh my gosh, no, I did not. I gotta look this up. Really? Wow. Get her.
Get her.
Get her.
First off, what a terrible name.
That is a stupid name.
It's
like, I gotta
what does
get
that
her.
mean?
It's like why would you even yeah, it's been hacked several times now. And I think that for better or for worse, even though there are probably some interesting conversations, yeah, it was hacked on July 4th. Look at that. Here it is. Yeah, this was the Marjorie Taylor Greene. Where is it? Yeah, Jason Miller
But
and
Jason
Mike
Miller, I said
Pompeo.
Scott. Jeez. I know you remember half of these guys. Bear with me here.
Yeah, MJT, Harlan Hill, Sean Parnell, and the pro-Trump broadcaster Newsmax was also hacked.
Or Newsmax.
I'll see. Free Palestine. Yeah, that's what they were.
Yeah,
all
there
doing.
you go.
Yeah. Judge Juba Baghdad. Like what? And they were just, yeah, they were. I mean, say if like people were like actually taking this stuff seriously and like Mike Pompeo said free Palestine. Oh,
Look at this. But he had to leave his account there, so we all know it was a hack.
free Palestine. Oh my gosh.
It reminds me of I was rewatching this today. There was a clip about like 3 years ago where Scott Menendez, aka no, not Scott Menendez. I keep getting these names mixed up. John Menendez of the Howard Stern Show, aka Stuttering John, prank called Donald Trump when he was actually president.
Really?
He did an impersonation of Bob Menendez, the senator from New Jersey.
Oh, yep.
So he called, I guess it was like the White House, like secretary booth where, everyone can call.
Uh-huh.
And then Stuttering John did an impression of Bob Menendez. There's a lot of Menendez going around. And then apparently they connected him to Jared Kushner.
Oh my gosh.
And then Jared was trying to like verify like it was Bob. Well, he didn't really say. It was just like, "Is Bob? Is that you?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm here." and then Jared was like, "Okay, we'll send you up to Air Force One."
Oh my god.
And he actually got up there.
Oh wow.
And then after that, apparently the Secret Service tried to get him.
Really? Oh, get the person who made the call?
Yep, they try to get Stuttering John.
Did he get arrested?
Because
there's actually a the show The President's Show? This kind of reminds me of that. Do you know The President's Show that used to be on Comedy Central?
Yep.
And you had the guy who used to dress up as Trump, and he actually had a pretty spot on. He like imitated him really well. He imitated his cadence. He kind of like had a similar body to him. And it's just like his behavior was similar. And he actually called the COVID. It was no, you know what it was? It was it was like the different states like vote counting. Oh no, it was the hotline you can call if you saw like any voter fraud. and like Trump called in, and the person actually believed him. And he asked, like, well, this guy who was posing as Trump called in, and he's like, what are the numbers looking like in Michigan? I think it was Michigan. The woman's like, I can bring those numbers up right now. And the comedian who was playing him was laughing because he was like, and they actually believed it was Trump. Like the guy, he did it so well. I don't know what his name was, Anthony. I know his first name was Anthony, but I don't know what his last name was. But he's a comedian that used to play Trump on that show. But I have this is an interesting paragraph going back to Getter. This is
Yeah.
what it said, Big Don. Getter was flooded with pornographic images and GIFs on Saturday. Insider reported. Users spanned the platform's first post with graphic hentai videos and images of Hillary Clinton's face photoshopped onto a woman's naked body. Mother Jones reported.
Damn.
So I think that the trolls were ready.
They
were
shot a
ready.
wrinkle into the world.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, all these different trolls of all these different they probably met up on Twitter and said, "Hey, we're all going to make Getter accounts and, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this one because yeah, Getter as of right now, it does not seem like it's the most secure place." Yeah, look at that. This picture says it all. Free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine. Wow.
I'll read you an excerpt from Wikipedia about the Stuttering John prank calling Trump.
Go for it.
In April of 2015, he launched a new podcast, the Stuttering John podcast. During Menendez's podcast on June 28th, 2018, he prank called the White House by pretending to be an assistant to Senator from New Jersey, Bob Menendez. Menendez ultimately received a call back from President Trump. I was traveling on Air Force One. Menendez then impersonated Senator Menendez and had a 4-minute conversation focusing on immigration reform and the Supreme Court vacancy. Notably, President Trump was congratulatory regarding the outcome of Senator Menendez's ethical lawsuit. The White House has confirmed the security breach. On July 2nd, 2018, Menendez announced that he retained lawyer Michael Avenatti, who was recently arrested, to represent him in a relation to the prank call after being visited by Secret Service agents over the previous weekend.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
It all ties together.
That is really interesting. Yeah, Avenatti was in the news recently. He's been in the news.
I think he's going to jail.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let's see here. Michael Avenatti. A lot of Fox articles. Fox News. MSNBC gives Avenatti prison sentence less than 2 minutes of coverage after inviting him on air over 100 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. There's your bias in media. There's your manufacturing consent.
That's wild. They're not really.
Michael Avenatti sentenced to 2.5 years prison for Nike extortion scheme. He was trying to buy some Air Force Ones. Got caught.
So
He caught trying to steal them. Yeah, we kind of went off topic there.
I know, right? We went way off topic. Wow.
It all had to do with social media, people.
It does.
Does Trump deserve a platform? That's the question.
I think that everyone should be able to be heard. And I think with Trump, since he was the former president, even though he does kind of go off the rails a lot, I don't know. I think that liberals love it that he's censored, but I think conservatives, are kind of disappointed. Honestly, I think Trump should just make his own, but it has to be better than Getter.
Yeah, it's got conservatives. You need to step up your social media game.
That was ridiculous. That was a discount parlor, if I were going to say that.
Parler was absolute doo-doo.
Yep, that was terrible. So, yeah, if this is what's going to happen, then, yeah, Trump will probably have to rely on the 9 p.m. slot on Fox News with Sean Hannity and do little
No Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not on Tucker. It's never on. You know why? Because Sean Hannity.
But yeah, did you hear what Tucker said? I mean, we can transition over this. I know we were planning covering the NYC election primary results, but Tucker, he's been saying some stuff, and I know I've been saying this for like the last couple of weeks, but now he's saying that we should have cameras in the classroom.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Here, let me go look that up. Yeah, because he's been in the news a lot. I mean, a couple weeks ago he was talking about COVID, the whole COVID origin story with I think a Chinese woman who actually left. I believe her husband was like a doctor or something. So he's had a lot of controversial takes within the past couple weeks. But yeah, he's also had this one to say. Um, yeah, he's also been in the news because of the whole the DHS
Yeah, and now he's
NSA. Yeah,
and now he's worried. Now he's paranoid. He's scared he's gonna get whacked or something.
Yeah, he's trying to hype things up.
Maybe for a presidential run, I don't know. We gotta redo that tier list.
Yeah, I think we have to redo that whole thing.
Yeah, and we could do it during a live stream. Probably not this one, but yeah, we had a tier list all planned for you guys about the GOP candidates that who are rumored, at least rumored to run for president.
Yeah, this is the whole thing. Tucker Carlson goes full 1984 with cameras in the classroom proposal, and he also was kind of beefing with General Milley too.
Yeah, but I mean,
he had a few words to say about him. Yeah, that was regarding the
critical race theory
stuff that we covered a couple weeks ago. So yeah, Tucker is saying that he believes that it would be better off to have cameras in the classroom because parents, due to the pandemic, were able to monitor what their children were being taught. I know that some schools around the country were teaching quite controversial things in civics courses that some parents did not like. And that got a lot of people angry. And you saw that time and time again within the past year. There's also been questions regarding critical race theory for young students. I believe most schools do not teach it. We actually kind of debunk that myth that young kids were getting taught critical race theory. That was not true. With like really young kids, I believe it starts in like high school. You can start learning that, and I mean we see it now with some states banning it, like Texas and Florida. I believe is also trying to do it too. But going back to this Tucker Carlson,
it's a new Red Scare.
Yeah, this whole critical race theory this week about how they should have cameras in the classroom so parents and guardians can look at what curriculum their children are, being taught and being fed. And yeah, it is pretty much 1984, to say it in the least. What do you think about this though? With this whole cameras in the classroom, do you think that it's a breach of privacy?
Well, who's going to be watching them? That's my question.
Yeah, say if you get
because the schools are going to be controlled by cameras.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, what are you going to do? You're going to create some app?
I know, right?
You're trying to get the government to install cameras. Yeah, like, if you believe this whole entire conspiracy, Tucker, about like liberal schools brainwashing these children into believing communist ideals and having pink hair, it's like, well, why the hell would you? Jeez. Unless the parents like inserting cameras into like
but you know what this is?
Like a body cam?
Yeah, it's like this body camera. But do you know what this reminds me of? You know how in North Korea everyone needs a camera in every room in the house, basically?
Yep.
It reminds me of that. And it's this sort of authoritarian type of way of surveilling people that is getting me to say, you know what, Tucker, you're trying to go against this whole kind of nuanced, actions that that China has practiced, but you're promoting this kind of stuff too. You're promoting surveillance. You're promoting censorship for different ideas. So, I mean, he's kind of a hypocrite in this too, and saying that, well, we need to look at what people are reading, and we have to monitor things. Well, the government of China monitors people all the time, so you're kind of like one of them. It sounds like you're like one of them in wanting this whole people getting monitored. So that's why I think that raises a red flag for me.
Yeah, it's just dumb. If you ask me, I think Fox News is kind of lost at this point with Tucker. I was commenting recently. Did you know he was actually on CNN?
Oh yeah, I knew
Or he was
that.
on. He did what was it, Crossfire?
Yeah, the debate show.
Yeah, with I don't know his name, but the debate show ended when Jon Stewart got on and
Oh,
said,
yeah, I
like,
heard they
please
were
stop.
actually having issues between each other. Wasn't that I saw like a little clip? This was back in like 2004, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. And then what show was he on? Was Tucker on the Five?
He might have been.
Oh no, he was on that show with like early morning on Fox, I think. Was it Fox and Friends?
Yeah, he was on Fox and Friends.
Yeah, and then he got his own show in 2017 during the Trump era, and he's been pretty much dominating. Because you had Megyn Kelly on before that, and then you also had Hannity on at 9 o'clock, and then
Bill O'Reilly.
they moved him to 10. Yeah, yeah, they've been kind of shifting things around over the past 5 years. You used to have Bill O'Reilly, Megyn Kelly, Hannity, and then they moved Hannity to 9 o'clock because he's kind of like the big name now. Well, Tucker is too, and then yeah, they've kind of realigned everything. But yeah, it used to be Bill O'Reilly. Remember that show?
Yeah, I remember Bill O'Reilly. We'll do it
Bill
live.
O'Reilly would do like the spin. He would like always say the spin stops here, which
I don't know what to tell you. I don't even know what that means.
yeah, I think he would want to like say it in a way that was nonpartisan, but he always was a little conservative.
Yeah, he had to please Roger.
But I think in some ways he was less conservative than Hannity. Hannity's very biased. Like remember Hannity back in the day, all he would talk about is he would have John Bolton on from like 2012 to like 2016, and they would just talk about Obama. And they would just talk about Obama's failed foreign policy. They'd talk about Benghazi, I think, every night from years 2013 to like 2015.
Yep.
That's basically what the media was doing. And now, I mean, you look at both the narrative, and I think we can go in depth on this maybe like on our next live stream or something like that. We can do a Peace and Chaos special. But I mean,
Yeah, we can.
you look at like all the different things that the media puts, and I always love to see what the three big networks, Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN do. CNN, I believe, has at least the insurrection, something about the insurrection every single day. Every single day they talk about January 6th. They talk about Trump, or they talk about the big lie. Those are the three things they do. For Fox News, it's the culture thing. So they talk about
Culture war.
Culture war. They'll
The
talk
liberal
about
media, the liberals trying to ruin our children.
Yeah, they'll talk about something like critical race theory. They'll talk about transgenderism. Um, they'll also talk about politics too. So Biden's immigration failures. So yeah, that's what kind of they talk about. And you can see how the media today, it's like you're living in two different countries of what is the news, you know? It's like the people at the media just can't just run out of ideas. So they're really just telling you the same things every single day.
Yeah, and I read. I'm getting more and more into this because I do this for politics class. There's a lot of reading material there in terms of like trying to think who wrote the four biases in media. Who wrote the four biases in media?
I'll look it up.
What was this?
Four biases.
W.L. Bennett. Okay. Yeah, the four biases, and then there's obviously manufacturing consent by Noam, or as DJ Aceman here will say, Noam Chomsky. That deals with that's kind of the big. It's kind of the big exposure to what's been going on in corporate media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd love to do a whole entire segment on this. In fact, I probably know a guest we can bring on for that.
Yeah, this is it right here. It's how to spot 11 types of media bias. Spin, which is you kind of like take the story and you alter it to fit your kind of try to fit it to make it your storyline. Yeah. Some of the words that you use are like crucial, refuse, serious, major, monumental. You kind of make it, you blow it up in a way. Let's see here. Spin. Oh yeah, this one kind of shows you a lot for the Washington Post. Let's go to um bias by, let's go to the second one, unsubstantiated claims. Okay. Like this
Yeah, a lot of
one.
times media will use like fragmentation, so it will leave people like wondering what the how the full story is, because
Mhm.
people can't really have like very short attention spans, especially with the age of social media. I'm not
Yep.
generalizing everything over here, but this is what the media thinks of you people.
Yeah, and this
They
one's
all think
big
you have
too.
short attention spans, and you need like little increments of the news. So they oftentimes like use like fragmentation to, I guess, deviate people from
Mhm.
the real issue, so they won't put together like the whole entire story. They also use stuff like let me look up like, hold on, there's like a Quizlet that I found to explain this whole entire Quizlet. Bennett's 4 news biases flashcards. There you go. Personalization, downplay large scale social, economic, political issues in favor of human trial tragedies triumph at the surface of events, hard to see the larger picture.
Hmm.
Will be less worrisome if it is used to hook audience into more serious issues instead of stopping at the character development stage. And then dramatization, yes, we see that a lot. Media tends to cover events that are mostly easily dramatized in simple stories, focus on drama, conflict inside a broader context. News, recent problem is better than constant problem. Agenda setters, producers, and journalists determine what news is sufficiently dramatic. Fragmentation, did that, and then
Mhm.
authority is sort of bias. Yes, we see a lot of people do this. News is preoccupied with order, along with relating questions of whether authorities are capable of establishing and restoring it. So they're pretty much taking the higher ground and saying like, "Oh, I know it, or I know what's good for the U.S. Here's what's going on in Washington, and seeing why our leaders are incompetent."
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, all those are clear examples of, media bias here. And then also you have sensationalism and emotionalism. That's a
Yeah, and
big
that
one.
kind of ties into like personalization.
Mhm. And you try to make people like get scared, you want to invoke emotion into the reader or the consumer of the news story. And a lot of words like chaotic, showdown, forcing, warning, explosive. I mean, those can get some people to turn heads and, get them more, direct with what um is going on.
But yeah, we need to do a story on. We need to do a special on this because we need to unravel all the stuff that's going on with the media.
Oh yeah, this is going to be, we should do a big special on this
Hell,
in
I'll
the
do it this
coming.
week.
If we can do it this week, maybe we'll start doing like little
But
peeps and chaos.
I gotta get my special. I got ace up my sleeve. I gotta see if my guest will come on. It's gonna be very spicy.
Okay, okay. We'll definitely have to, yeah, we're gonna have to put a lot more content for you all. We kind of hit a little bit of a
Yeah,
slump of just doing live streams, but we really want to put out, a couple videos here and there as well. So we get some extra content for all you.
plus I gotta re up on manufacturing consent.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
You wanna
we
move
did.
on?
Yeah,
Hmm?
let's go back to our main timeline here. Let's go to New York City.
Yeah, let's go to New York here. Yeah, this week in New York City, we had the New York City election. Which the results, there was a whole little
Skirmish.
yeah, to say the least. Um, try to put it up. Boom. There we go. So yes, there was a whole little, as Big Don put it, a skirmish with the results a couple weeks ago when they used the new kind of election method, which was you could write down which candidates you wanted. So you could it's a you could write down which candidates you wanted. And it was a very ranked choice. I just blanked
Yep.
on the name. Yes, so you could write down, you could tally what candidates you wanted, which ranked choice is good in a lot of ways. I know the state of Maine has implemented ranked choice voting, and also I believe California has as well. And New York City decided to pursue ranked choice voting instead of the regular voting where everyone gets one vote. You vote for one candidate and it just stands at one vote per person. In this case, you have a ballot where you can um, number who you want to be for number one. So let's say you wanted, let's say for instance, if they did this in the primaries, for the Democratic primaries, you wanted Andrew Yang one, you wanted Pete Buttigieg two, and Joe Biden three. That's what they would do, and then they would tally up whoever got the most number ones would technically win, unless they didn't get 50%. So, um, there was a whole issue in terms of counting the votes with the system. So there was a little bit of a glitch in the system, which almost disqualified the whole race. However, they were able to fix it. And this week, the former police captain, Eric Adams, won the Democratic primary in New York City's mayoral race. He, I believe, is going to face, I don't know who he's going to face. It's the Republican,
Okay,
which I
when?
don't know. Oh, it's Curtis Sliwa. Curtis Sliwa
Sliwa.
will be Fernando Mateo. Yes, and this was actually close going down the stretch. Eric Adams won by about 9,000 votes, nearly. Yeah, 403,333 to 394,907. He got 50.5%. He won by 1 percentage point, which is pretty close at the end. So this is a big win for Eric Adams. He got a significant portion of the police vote because he was a former police officer in New York. But I guess he's kind of an interesting fellow. I think that he lived in his own. Where was he living, Big Don? I heard he was like
He was living in. He alleged to have a place in Brooklyn, but people were calling him out because apparently he lived in New Jersey as well.
Yeah, there was that whole controversy. I remember.
And let's see here.
I believe
I think
he
that was
will.
controversy.
I think he made history though. Yeah, Adams would be the city's second black mayor if elected. So
Yeah.
that is history right there.
Also, in New York City, this is also worth noting. They have public funding in New York City. They have like match funding. So what you'll do is they'll use like a caucus or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what people can do is pretty much for every like dollar that they donate, the New York City can match up to $6.
Wow.
And then I think the only two candidates there it's separate. It's divided out for like mayoral candidates, district attorney candidates, and all those other positions for grabs in the New York City election. But I think the only two mayoral candidates that got it were Eric Adams and Scott Silverman. I don't know.
Wow.
No one else got it.
Now, what do you think? Do you think that
Scott Stringer. There you go.
do you think Eric Adams pretty much is going to win?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much given. I don't think the Republicans have any shot to win. Well, there could always be. Never say never, but
Yeah, I mean,
I was looking right now.
40,000 votes to 403,000. Yeah, I think that the Republicans would need a miracle because I think.
I mean, they can get like police unions, but then but Adams also was a police officer at one point.
That's true. I think he is the most ideal candidate for the Democrats to run because I think that if they were not going to run him, even though I think the Democrat still has an advantage, if you don't get like the unions, like the police or the firewomen as well, I don't think that you're going to do as well in terms of New York City. But with Eric Adams being a former police officer, I think that it's going to help New York in terms of combating crime, and also, making New York City a still thriving city because they have seen a big decrease in population over the past, year due to the pandemic. People have been leaving leaving for the suburbs. They've noticed how expensive New York City is. So a lot of folks have left, which is hurting the big cities here.
Yeah, New York, and they always keep piping up the New York City comeback.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we get like mayoral ads. I mean, thankfully, the basketball teams are good.
I know, right?
We got the Knicks and then we got the Nets. I mean, the Yankees kind of suck now, but I mean, the Mets are doing all right.
Yeah, you got a hockey team that's good too, the Islanders.
Yeah, but they're not in New York City. That's
True.
Long Island.
Yeah. So yeah, you have some teams doing good. The Mets, they're doing they're doing okay. How about the Jets and the Giants? Promising
They're
or
still
no?
rebuilding. We
Rebuilding.
don't talk about them.
They'll be getting better. Maybe the Jets will have a better year.
Yeah, all they can do is go up from this point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, yeah, New York City. There's always hope with the Big Apple. I don't think it's as bad in a place as Los Angeles is right now.
Yeah.
I think LA has a lot more issues to take care of. Homelessness out in LA is a lot worse than it is in New York City. And I think that with New York City, I think that since it does still have like a bigger role in the world with cosmopolitanism and just how it's an international city, I don't think that it's the end yet for New York.
Yeah, I mean, New York City is still a integral part of how our U.S. economy functions. I mean, if you look at all the companies that are in New York, I think it's hard to find any other place that's like it. Maybe Silicon Valley, but there's a lot of business going on with New York, with Wall Street, and then around the surrounding areas. You got a lot of companies that are based within New York.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they do business within the city.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of commerce in New York, a lot of business still there. It's not the end of the world, you know? And again, I think it's going back to media bias too. I think that they're blowing it up to try to push a political agenda as well.
Yeah, but I think Eric Adams is pretty much going to be the next New York City mayor.
I agree with you too. Let's go on to our last little news story here, which is regarding President Biden and his little COVID. There have been some rumors about this COVID push. Specifically,
hey, that's not Joe Biden.
Yeah, this one here says White House calling out critics of door-to-door vaccine push. This was the South Carolina governor having something to say about that. But, you see this new variant, which is the Delta variant, which originated in India. It's been the reason why India has been really dealing with a lot of the rise in cases. You saw the lockdown in India again. Japan is doing horrible right now. I mean, they're doing really bad in terms of this variant as well. And I mean, this is a little bit of a hot take, but I think that they should just cancel the Olympics this year. It's not going to be safe.
Yeah, now they're just locking everything up. I mean, you can't even go in.
Honestly, it's that, or you know what? You just do the Olympics in 2022. And you know what?
I gotta wait another year.
But the thing is that I understand, but it's just they're pretty much in the same situation as last year with the whole COVID. It's all locked up again. You have the US doing well and other countries doing well, but with Japan, they've had such a slow rollout. I believe it's only 15% of the country is fully vaccinated.
True.
You have some athletes coming in from countries where they have not been able to be vaccinated. They're probably going to spread the virus back to their home country. I think most of the American Olympians, I think it's like near a majority of them have been vaccinated, so they will be safe. But still, I mean, it puts danger of the people who are not fully vaccinated or not even vaccinated yet. And I think it's going to continue the pandemic. And I mean, we see it right now with the Euros. If you look at the Euros, I mean, tomorrow's going to be the final match. And I think Wembley's allowing like full capacity, and they're not even checking who got vaccinated. So for the fan base in London or England, I should say, and the Italian fan bases, you don't know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't been. They're going to all be mingling together. And, if Italy wins or whatever, all those fans coming back or the players too, they could get COVID, or it could be the other way around. You could see London having that as well. So I think when you look at it, um, just with, I mean, here in the US, we're doing a lot better. Even though we're not at 70% yet, we're getting there. A lot of states have met that 70% goal. So we're not as bad as some places in the world, like Japan or some developing countries that have not been able to even get vaccines into the hands of their people. But do you think that this is going a little too far for the Biden administration?
Yeah. I think I mean I could sit here and say just like, oh, Biden didn't really mean that. But what the hell is going on here, dude?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like how are you gonna first off, is that like a breach of like giving people the choice to choose whether or not to get vaccinated? I
Yeah.
mean, first off, real talk. No, not everyone can get vaccinated. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like a small minority of people, but not people are going to have negative. If you're going to force vaccines upon people, you're going to have all the hysteria going around about vaccines. That's going to be hyped up even more. And if you're going to actually implement it, oh boy, it's going to be one hell of a ride in terms of the commentary that gets pushed with. Because not only will you have people saying like, oh, the government's coming door to door, and it's talking about like New World Order conspiracy theories, but they're also going to be talking about like, oh, if they're forcing vaccinations upon like me, and then or like someone will tell like a story of like, oh, my neighbor got like vaccinated, and then this person had like a bad reaction to it. It's like, look what the government's doing here. It's obviously going to be. It's obviously going to look badly on them.
Yeah, I think that there's also a lot of distrust in it as well, because it takes like 2 years for, like, a minimum of 2 years mostly for vaccines to even be approved. Since it was emergency approved because of the pandemic, people were kind of a little uncertain for some
Well,
people.
it's not like that. I mean, we got people that believe like the government's going to microchip you.
Oh, there's those people too, but that's like a radical, number. I think the people who are right now in the unvaccinated either, have underlying health conditions where they're afraid that if they do get vaccinated, they could maybe have a bad reaction. Maybe, they fear that maybe they could die. So I think it's that group of people. There's also the religious group who don't believe in vaccinations in
Yeah, they
general.
like the mark of the beast.
Yeah. And those people are the ones that just don't want to get it at all. And they'll fight every single day not to get it. And then you also have the people who are maybe a little bit on the political side who maybe see it as a sign of weakness, or maybe they feed into a specific narrative where they think that the vaccine is going to, you know, do something crazy to them, or they believe that they do not want to follow any orders by the government, so they're not going to even listen. I think those are the three types. You have the health people, the religious people, and you have like the hysterical political people.
Yeah, I think like what are they doing here? I mean, I get the whole entire purpose of wanting to get to like herd immunity so we can all go back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
But what were we at, like 67%?
Yeah, 60 something percent of
We're
the
only 3%
American.
away.
Yeah. So, and I mean, in most states in the Northeast and also in the West, I mean, you see it, there is a big divide between the red states and the blue states in terms of this. You have the red states where vaccination rates are a lot lower than the blue states like New York or Pennsylvania or Massachusetts or California compared to a state like Oklahoma or Tennessee or North Dakota. So there is that whole divide. But what more can the government do if some of their citizens, for whatever reason, do not want to um, get the vaccine? I mean, they've tried different ways. They've tried to convince people through ways of culture, through using media, doing ads, really trying to target communities where there is scrutiny towards the vaccine. They've been targeting immigrant groups, minorities, people living in, rural communities. And they've tried it. And, I think people kind of have made up their minds. No, we don't really want to get the vaccine for whatever reason. But I think this is going a little too above and beyond.
Right.
And yeah, I think that 70%, I mean, we're probably going to get close to 70%, but it's that 30% or less that's going to, not want to get it. And I think that you just have to respect that and say, you know what, you guys are on your own. We told you guys there's a lot of benefits to getting a vaccine, to getting the vaccine, whatever uh, product you want. But at the end of the day, you're risking your own and your community's health. The people who got vaccinated, they're going to be safe. It's their loved ones and the people who don't want to get the vaccine. All right, you're on your own. So if you end up passing away, don't be crying about it.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere that I heard somewhere, this happened a while ago, that the co-founder of Turning Point USA died because of COVID.
Really?
Yeah.
How old was that person?
TP USA founder, COVID death. Oh yeah, this was like back in last year. Turning Point USA.
There it is. I'm pulling it up too.
Bill. Oh yeah, well he was 80.
Yeah, that was kind of. Oh yeah, that was last year. Wow, Bill Montgomery.
There you go. We have to get in our own owning the conservatives moment right there.
But it just shows you that there are going to be people out there who, for whatever reason, they want to be a political martyr or whatever, that are just going to say, you know what, it's a show of bravery not to get the vaccine. And I think it sounds crazy, but we talked about this last week too. I believe science has become weaponized in so many different degrees.
It has.
And I think it's sad. We talked about it a couple weeks ago on one of our shows, and we had this whole little talk. And I think we talked about it after the show too, and how science has become political, and science is not meant to be political. It's meant to be, it's not supposed to be divided among party lines. It's supposed to be a nonpartisan group, a nonpartisan thinking, where you can, challenge different ideas and experiments and all the rest, and explain the meaning behind life. That's what science is. And as we see it now with the vaccine, distrust of whatever, and you see science is becoming more political every single day. And it's because of this pandemic and this vaccine rollout too.
Yeah, I mean, people. It's I think it's very sad to see how science gets politicized, because oftentimes we often go to like studies or academic consensus or scientific research to find information on certain topics, but it's like so politicized at the point. It's like, well, if I believe in like this group, and here they are saying like, okay, well, this science is bad, and here's why, for their political reasons. Like, well, first off, you don't even have like the educational background to conduct a study. So what the hell? But then it's just like, okay, why do we need to be anti-intellectual here?
That's
Why
what I
can't
have
we
to
just
say.
go? Why can we just listen to scientists? Like,
That's
what's
what I have to
wrong?
say. Yeah.
Just stop.
Exactly. People feel entitled to, make their own beliefs and everything like that when they have no experience in that study. Or, yeah, they're not an expert at all, and they believe that they are, and they think that they're more entitled to give an opinion rather than a scientist or a medical personnel who has had years of studying and experience to back up their claims. So yeah, people like to just talk bullshit and not spit facts, and it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Do you think though, with going back to this whole like plan that the Biden White House, is thinking about, do you think that we could see some it getting very messy with
Yeah.
this whole solicit type knock on the door?
Well, the fact that he's even said it, I think that's going to make things pretty messy in terms of the propaganda that gets pushed by both the left and the right in terms of what the hell's going on. Because to be fair, Biden said some dumb shit.
Yeah,
Biden.
that might be one of the dumber things that this administration has
And
said.
now people are gonna paint him as like the next Stalin, because he's like, oh, we gotta get vaccinated.
Yeah, it's like with Stalin. You have to we're gonna go to these different cities and recruit people. Yeah, we're gonna do a mass movement here, mass mobilization. Yeah, that's a little extreme to compare Biden to Stalin, but
People are doing it.
yeah, I mean that they're gonna do that for whatever reason. I mean, they'll do it for their own, but again, this is pretty stupid by the Biden administration to think about knocking on people's doors. You think it's going to change people's minds that you're going to send some people out there, whatever local, or if they're from the federal or whatever, to go
Yeah,
out
can the
there
federal government even enforce this? Because here's the thing: this we see this with like ICE and stuff like that. You're gonna need to rely on local officials
Mhm.
to enforce those vaccine mandates.
Do you think they're going to? I don't think
No,
so.
they're not.
They're going to think
Because
it's
they're only
stupid.
required to enforce their law.
Yeah, and I mean, plus you see this whole like dissent between. I mean, you see it in Texas specifically with the whole um, police departments down there and the local governance, how they're so livid with the Biden administration. And I mean, you see it there. So I don't think that these local governments, who are probably going to be majority Republican, are going to even listen to the Democratic Biden administration. I don't even think they're going to even think about it. I think that this is a dumb idea, and it's only going to make matters worse if it even was going to be implemented. And if it was going to be implemented, I don't even think that they're going to make any significant progress with the vaccine. Like, are you going to go in, knock down the door, rip the people out of the house, and put the shot in their arm without consent? Like, I mean, that doesn't sound like that doesn't sound like the U.S.
No, it does not.
Yeah, I think that this idea is probably going to be scrapped because they know how dumb it's going to be and how much backlash it's going to get.
Yeah, I'm only. I mean, once the government starts knocking on my door, I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah. If they knock on my door, like whatever, I'll just tell
Get
them
your
to go
gun
leave.
out.
Get you. Oh my gosh. There are going to be people that will overreact.
There are going to be people that are going to do that.
Yeah, you're going to have some crazy people. Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn. And yeah. Anyways, I think that is going to do it. Any other announcements or anything, Big Don?
I mean, we kind of hype things up, but we ain't gonna say nothing until it actually gets posted.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I mean, we still have stuff in the plans. I'm still waiting to edit the GeoGuessr video. I know we're not deleting that.
Oh, true. We're not going to delete that. We're going to have that out for you guys, hopefully. Yeah, we've been a little slow on that, but get ready. We will be putting out more content for all of you. So thank you all again. And yes, I think we're going to start wrapping it up here tonight. Just a reminder, as always, we do live stream every Saturday night at 8 p.m. If you cannot make it for whatever reason, we always have the playback on our YouTube page. You can always go check it out whenever you're free. Yeah, this is if you want to catch the live stream, if you don't want to catch the live stream, totally up to you. We know that people are busy in the summer, so yeah, go check it out whenever you have time. You don't feel the pressure to watch it immediately. Here is our Twitter, Peace and Chaos P1. Go follow us on Twitter, Peace and Chaos P1. We post a poll roughly around Wednesday or Thursday every single week, and we talk about it on the stream. And also go follow us on Instagram as well, Peace and Chaos _podcast, Peace and Chaos _podcast. And you can always go check out some of our cool posts and some of our stories on Instagram that are interactive. And we always want to get our Peace and Chaos family involved. That is going to do it for us today. We will be back again next week, and also go make sure that there will be a video hopefully out by the end of next week as well. So keep an eye out for that, and keep an eye out for our Twitter as well. We're going to be posting some interactive tweets next week as well. That's going to do it for today. I'm DJ Aceman, along with the legendary Life of Big Don, here today for the Peace and Chaos program. See ya.
Peace.